later on the great Kabbalists like Isaac Luria and so on, right on down to our day, Rabbi Albert Friedlander, who was a great friend and influence on me, whose teacher Leo Beck had survived Theresienstadt concentration camp by teaching philosophy. When in doubt, study wisdom, turn the Qibla to the Kabbalah of wisdom. Anyway, so wherein they differed, for God guides whom he will to a path that is straight. Amen to that, because a path that is straight, the origin of the word orthodox means a path that is straight. And I once had a really nice conversation with Richard Harries, who was then principal of King's College, where I was baptised, at London University, and he went on later to become Bishop of Oxford. He was a great intellectual in the Anglican Church, and we were chatting about my PhD, and I was saying what I wanted to study, and he was being kind of very polite and enthusiastic, and I didn't actually in the end do it with him as my supervisor, which was just as well because he went off to be Bishop of Oxford. But he said to me at one point, Thomas, he said, "Are you Orthodox?" Meaning I think he wanted to know if I was a Christian Orthodox. I was actually an Anglican, and for many years a Quaker as well. I'm still a Quaker. So I said to him, look, in the sense that Aristotle meant, because it's Aristotle who first used the term orthodox, which meant straight to truth. So I'm with Aristotle on that. We should go straight to truth. And that's the origin of the word orthodox. It was never used by Christians until long after. It was never used by other religions. It's a pagan, Greek, classical term, meaning someone who thinks clearly and goes straight to truth. So in that sense, I'm extremely orthodox. And this is what Muhammad is saying. And it's so interesting that so many later Muslim philosophers loved Aristotle. He was their, they loved him and they translated him. And that's why Aristotle's text survived here in the West. It was brought back through the Arabic translations that were done, because they recognized in Aristotle's orthodoxy a true orthodoxy. And they had this statement in the Quran that God guides whom he will to a path that is straight, So no wonder the Islamic philosophers like Ibn Rushd loved their Aristotle. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, verse 213. And then it's a beautiful verse. Now I want to jump to verse 216, because this is one of those verses which is used by Islamophobes and say, look, horrible Quran, it's all about fighting, we hate him. If you read it carefully, it's very different. What it says is, fighting is prescribed for you, and you dislike it. But it is possible that you dislike a thing which is good for you, and that you love a thing which is bad for you. But God knoweth, and ye do not. Well, it's a powerful verse, and what does it mean by fighting, and why should we fight and all that? Well, I maintain, as a scholar and a philosopher and a druid, that non-violence is the highest form of struggle, it's the highest form of fighting. Buddha, Mahavira, these are the great saints of non-violence in history, and Thomas Merton and others in the Christian tradition. To fight in the way of knowledge is the highest form of virtue, because in Islam, the saying is that the ink of the scholar, is worth more than the blood of martyrs. And it's true. It's true, because fighting is what the Farages and the fascists do. They are very proud of their egotistical fight, and Farage makes ridiculous statements like, if I don't get my way over Brexit, I'm going to take up the rifle, I mean, this is disgraceful. It's not what true wisdom people do. And Steve Bannon worked in the American military. He was a fighter. He was proud of the fact that no doubt he's killed people and shot them down. And, this is what American military types think like. He thinks he's on military campaign to destroy the European Union. Well, he's met an archdruid, We're not going to let him do it. Sorry. And he's trying to whip up all the ex-fascists of Europe, all coming out the woodwork, the ex-Mussolini types, who are all rallying around and saying, you know, to me, to me. Well, no, because fighting of that kind is the path of fools. And Europe is a much more sophisticated culture. I've nursed warriors. I've heard their life stories. I've washed their bodies when they were dead, and I've communed with their spirits as they ascended. You know, I know about warriors. They taught me. And they taught me that the highest form of warriorship is non-violence, self-mastery, and wisdom work. And that's why I became a Druid. The reason I'm on Peace Druid of Britain is because I knew a warrior who respected my work. He was a veteran of the Battle of Monte Cassino, and he told me to go to Monte Cassino, which I finally did. And he was the Druid on the Druid Council of Britain, friend of all the kind of founders of that in London. A very amazing man called Douglas Lyne, who was, he was a warrior. But as he grew up, he became a Druid. And he met the Archdruid of Wales, and he was a descendant of Father Ignatius of Llanthony Priory, in fact. That was my link to the Druid Council of Britain. He's dead now, but still with us. So fighting is prescribed for you, but you have to study and discern what kind of fighting. And the worst possible kind of fighting is the one where you go and kill people. It's the absolute last resort, What you do is you try and change evil people's minds. And that can only be done through patience, through prayer, through education, through study and through teaching, and through example. We can't afford all these warriors anymore on this planet. They're running amok. Now they're doing fake warriorship on the internet. They're taking down sites. They're posting nonsense. And there are teams of these people. Brexit is a fake operation created by fake teams of warrior internet people. Well, no, enough is enough, people, because the point of the verse is, God knoweth what ye do not. So if we go to the place of God, it follows logically. We can download the knowledge that we need to prevent the wars, to prevent the fighting. And that's why I'm trying to say that the world's military expenditure is out of control, utterly and totally out of control. And we need to scale down the expenditure on the warriors of mankind by 95%. And all that surplus expenditure needs to go on peace work, which includes education, employment, the Green New Deal that intelligent politicians want, and investing in the social infrastructure of mankind and preventing poverty. That's what Roosevelt wanted with his wife, Eleanor Roosevelt. And that's why, the warriors that I've looked after and who trained me, that's why they were fighting World War II. Not for these tin pot fascists to surface out of the woodwork and destroy what Europe built in the ashes of World War II, this wonderful interlinked union of nations. Okay, so I'm going to move on now and finally finish. And there's a lot more detail in this commentary I don't have time to go into. If you want, you can listen to it online and subscribe to the Green University website. I just want to say finally about the Quran that the latest nightmare they're dreaming up, these fake warriors, is a war between America and Iran. And what a catastrophe that would be. Iran is a very ancient civilized country with Shia traditions going right back to Ali and the dawn of Islamic Gnosticism. The Irfan tradition I was talking about is what Qom is based on. And there are libraries of books in Iran that are just priceless. They have some of the earliest Gnostic writings of Islam and commentaries on the Quran made by the Imams over the centuries. And the people of Iran are so beautiful. I've known Muslim friends of mine in London and elsewhere from Iran. They are some of the most beautiful people I've ever met. The great poets of Iran, like Rumi, they wrote in Persian. Okay, Hafiz, the other greatest poet of Islam, came from Shiraz in Iran. These are great, great people. these people were civilized when the Americans hadn't even got off the Mayflower. They hadn't even crossed the Atlantic. There was no America in those days. America had, the US, or whatever it's going to call itself, has to become a bit more intelligent than to threaten the heartland of the ancient Middle East, which is a beautiful culture. Yes, of course there are things wrong with it, and it doesn't always subscribe to the humanist values of modern secularism, because it's coming from a different place. It's a spiritual republic which retains a belief in God and spiritual kingdoms. But is that a reason to kill them and destroy them? I mean, I thought America's supposed to do that. On its dollar bill, it's got, you know, in God we trust. I mean, it's the same God, people. And if you study Iranian spirituality at the highest level, you realise that. Read Monasadra and the other great sages if you don't believe me. So, no, the war on Iran by America is, you know, the worst idea ever dreamed up on this planet since the war in Iraq by America. And any American with any intelligence, and I've heard a few already, Bernie Sanders and stuff, they're saying, wake up people, don't let this happen. What's going on is the media creating a fake hysteria. And that's American fascism going on. That's what I say, the xenophobia, attack on intellectuals, you know, the incitement of anger and fear, etc., etc. So that also needs preventing. And my only way is scholarship, learning, education. I invite people to study with me, and you know, you can come on study retreat here, and we can crack this thing. Okay, I want to move on now to my final point, which is, I just want to comment on the Eurovision Song Contest last night in Israel, in Tel Aviv, because I thought it was a fun event. It was lovely to see all these countries performing. The music was, yeah, it's always of a certain type, but it was not too bad. Some of the songs were quite beautiful. I personally liked the North Macedonian presentation. I thought that was musically better than some of the others. But you know, it's I missed the Dutch one. I mean, they won. Netherlands won. You know, I'm sure it was very good, and it was lovely to watch them all. The ones I saw. So, but what's so important is that that's what Europe stands for. I know we always joke at the Eurovision Song Contest, and yes, of course, the music could be better, but it stands for that plurality of countries who coexist in amity and peace. And it was nice to see Israel, you know, part of that family, and it was nice to see the little Palestinian flag waved by someone at some point. You know, the Palestinians should have also had a song entered, and maybe next year they can. Maybe they could host it in Bethlehem or somewhere. That'd be a great boost to their economy. I dream and yearn for a time when Palestine and Israel will live in peace together. And if they have to both join the European Union to make that possible, then so be it. Let them in, you know. And then let, you know, peace reign. I mean, if Australia can be part of the Eurovision Song Contest, for God's sake, it's hardly in Europe. So can Palestine. Anyway, it was a lovely feast of colour and music and sound, and that's the old Druid way. You see, the Eisteddfod that the Welsh celebrate and the old Celts used to celebrate was always a song fest. We don't have wars in the Druid community, if we're lucky. We have peace festivals with music and dance and all the rest. And let more of those happen, please, and less wars. So let there be song contests and poetry contests between America and Iran, or between Israel and Palestine. Let's have, you know, that spirit of the Eurovision Song Contest. Let it shine a light for all of us that plurality and unity can be reconciled. That's the miracle that European culture and the Renaissance brought to this continent. That's why, you know, I've always loved the Renaissance time. People like Leonardo da Vinci, who's inspired my idea for a top floor on the Pentagon. Okay, so thank you for all who organised that event, and you know, it was very moving to see what it symbolised more than anything else. Okay, I'm going to finish there. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, and let's all celebrate St Dunstan's Day, and let's turn the problems of the world back into gold and do that transformation. Thank you.